There's a lot of people that make it to what they thought was going to fulfill them in life, and then you get there and all of a sudden you get to number one in the world, and then they're like, what's the point? And I really do believe that, because what is the point? You're like, why do I want?
That was Scottie Scheffler, the number one golfer in the world. Or maybe I'm pronouncing his name wrong. I don't follow golf. Talking about how pointless and unfulfilling his life pursuit is to get to the top of golf. And my advice to Scottie would be that it's the journey, not the destination. Now, that's a cliche that we all know, but it's actually impossible to action, because the journey is abstract and by definition it's linked to the destination. What I've come up with is a framework to make the journey actually fulfilling, give you purpose and meaning, and ironically success becomes an inevitable byproduct. My theory is that you have to define the journey specifically. There's only really 4 ways to define the intrinsic motivations that come with a journey: challenge, experiences, relationships, or causes. For example, if you're trying to hike a mountain, the only thing you want is to get to the top. Everything between you and the top is miserable. You have a fleeting moment of unfulfilling happiness at the top, and then you have to turn around and go through misery to get down again. But if you say, I'm here to challenge myself, then the suffering is actually part of the reason that you're there, because you want to get out your comfort zone. If you want experiences, maybe the views along the way, then suddenly the changing landscape on the journey is part of the definition of why you're there. If you say relationships is your intrinsic motivation, then perhaps you're doing it with a group and that shared suffering becomes meaningful. Or maybe you're raising money for charity and that's why you're walking up this big mountain, and you know how you can push yourself for the more meaningful, larger cause. So to Scottie, I'd say, define the journey. Is it because you want to challenge yourself? Is it the experiences that golf facilitates around the world and on different beautiful courses? Is it the relationships with your caddies and your coaches and your fellow golfers? Or maybe you can engage in a more serious cause using your platform to raise money and awareness. And then suddenly it's not just about the final putt, but it's about everything that goes into the final putt. Those intrinsic motivations of challenge, experience, relationships, and causes give meaning and purpose to the journey, beyond that just defined by the outcome.
If you want to become hardier, happier, and more fulfilled by learning about resilience, then subscribe by the button above.